Here we are with DGP week 16. I'm going to move that up. Don't forget to put the title. Don't forget to put your day, comma, month, and date, and the year. It's not so much important that what today's date is, but that you get these commas. So our sentence says, the peasant's wife promised that the money should be paid next week, but she would not pay it herself. We have three parts of this sentence. We'll talk more about that, but we need to label the parts of speech in this sentence. It's always easiest to start out with your articles. There's three of them, a, an, and the, and today we have the as an article, and then we have another article here. So I'm going to mark out our articles. We've already found it. Now the next thing I like to go to are our nouns. We have three nouns. Wife is a noun, money is a noun, and week is a noun. So I've got all of that. Our action verbs might be the next thing to do. Notice I'm leaving my possessive noun till later. Our action verbs, we have three action verbs. So promised is an action verb. Paid is an action verb. And pay is an action verb here. Coordinating conjunctions, most people have those down pretty well. Coordinating conjunction in this case is but. It ties the two sentences together. Got that? Most people are not familiar with the noun clause identifier. It is the word that. It's a noun clause identifier. It is identifying our noun clause that I just put in those brackets right there. And so we can mark that out. See what else we've got. Let's talk about reflexive pronouns. Last week we did a reflexive pronoun anytime you have the word self or selves, and here we have it. Herself is the example of the reflexive pronoun that we have for today. Let's look at helping verbs. We have three of those. You don't have any with the word promised. That's your verb, but paid. Should be paid ends up being your verb phrase, should be being your helping verbs, paid your action verbs, and would pay is your verb phrase here, would is your helping verb. I'm going to switch pen colors just to get us a different color in there. We have adverb marked out. We have two pronouns. Pronouns replace nouns. So anything that we can replace a noun, for example, it's not Miss Lyda, it's she. And so this is a pronoun. And it is not the desk, it is it. And so it is a pronoun. We have our pronouns there. What else do we have? We have peasants, we have next, we have not. So let's talk about the word next. It's next week. This is an adjective. So I've got my adjective here. We have the peasant's wife. It sounds like an adjective, but it is a noun, and it's a possessive noun. It's showing whose wife. So this is going to be labeled as a possessive noun. And finally, we have the word not. Somewhere on your paper, please write, not is an adverb. It is always an adverb. It will never not be an adverb. It can change the complete meaning of your sentence. Not is an adverb. There you have your parts of speech. Let's move on to the next day. Here we have whatever day you're choosing, comma, month, and date with a comma, and then the year. Here we are doing parts of the sentence. Let me get out my highlighter and see if that helps. So with my yellow highlighter, I'm going to highlight this as one sentence or clause. This is my noun clause. And then I'm going to use my blue here for this sentence. Hopefully that'll help because we have three subjects. You hopefully know that we'll have a subject for each sentence. We have three verbs, two that are transitive and one that's intransitive. I'm going to help you with this preposition because it's a little tricky. Your direct object, there's one obvious and one tricky one. You're a positive, and then we'll underline the subject and the predicate. So let's start with our verbs. If you'll look at yesterday's work, promised is a verb, paid is a verb, and pay is a verb. So if you look at today, it's the same sentence. Promised is a verb, paid is a verb, pay is a verb. And we just have to decide which ones are transitive and which ones intransitive. Promised is intransitive. There's no, let me back up here. Promised is transitive. It's a little tricky, and I'm going to walk you through that in just a second. Paid is our intransitive verb. There is no direct object there. And pay is transitive. Let's start out with here in the blue. She would not pay what? The answer is it. This is your direct object for that particular one. We have our obvious direct object. Ask yourself this. The peasant's wife promised what? She promised that the money should be paid next week. This entire noun clause ends up being your direct object. And that may be something new to you. So that's our tricky direct object. So we're going to mark those out. We have all of our verbs taken care of, and we need our subject. Who promised? Go backwards. The wife promised. That's going to be your subject. What is paid? The money is paid. And who would pay it? She would pay it. So you have a subject and verb for each one of these clauses. So now you have all your subjects and your verbs taken care of. Your appositive is a little tricky. She, herself is the appositive that goes back and tells you more about the subject she. So you have that. And now the preposition is understood, and it is, I'm not sure how easy that is. This is during next week. So there's your prepositional phrase. During next week is your prepositional phrase. This is the object of your preposition. So that's your second day for this week. And finally, we have a diagram. Nope, just kidding. Now we have a diagram. So don't forget your day, your month, your date, and your year. That's important. And here you have the diagram. If I highlight, this might make things a little bit easier. The peasant's wife promised. The peasant's wife promised. The money, oops, let me change color on you there. The money should be paid next week. There's your money should be paid next week. And in the blue, she would not pay it herself. She would not pay it herself. Color coding sometimes helps me, especially when you look back and you can see, oh, here's the subject, and where's my other one? Subject. You know where they go. Here's my diagram. Let me get my pencil out. So, the peasant's wife promised is in the yellow. Wife promised. We talked just a minute ago about what the wife promised. She promised this entire noun clause, and so that's why you have this as your direct object. So you can treat this in the green just like you would a sentence. Money is your subject. Would be paid is the verb phrase. Your noun clause identifier is the word that connects these two clauses together. The is the article, it's the money, and you have your prepositional phrase here, which is during next week. And so you have during, week, which week? Next week. So there's your prepositional phrase. You have completely diagrammed that entire noun clause. Switching pencils, just to add a little color here, we have the wife promised. It's the peasant's, apostrophe S, wife, and it's the peasant. Make sure you capitalize the. It's the only word in this sentence that's capitalized. We need a coordinating conjunction here. If you'll look back, that coordinating conjunction is but, and the blue sentence here, you would diagram just like any other sentence. Your subject is she. Leave a space here because we're going to come to that appositive here at this point. And then you have your verb phrase. Would pay, and then your adverb, not pay, and then she would not pay what? It. That's your direct object. Now, it says she would not pay it herself. So come here, she herself would not pay it. There you have your DGP for week 16. Please feel free to look back over this and get this turned in.